Hello and welcome to the South Lanarkshire Refugee Digital Climate Change Workshop, where we talk about everything with regards climate change and what we can do to embrace climate change and to reduce the effects of climate change in our environment. Let me know where you're joining us from. Let me know wherever you're watching from and where you'll be attending today's workshop. Today, we'll be looking at the impacts of climate change. And please leave comments. Let me know where you're joining from. Let me know if you're on YouTube or if you're on Facebook. And also comment where you are watching from, wherever your location is. We would like to know just so we know where we are making impacts upon people and where they're reaching, where they're watching us from. So today we'll be looking at impacts of climate change. Basically, it would also be a recap of the workshops we've had in the past. I think with regards climate change and this particular project, the Together for Our Planet project, we have been on. This is the fifth workshop, so it will consist of a recap of the points that we've discussed so far, and also there will be useful tips and nuggets out there. Let me go to the comment section and see what people are dropping. As it's our tradition on this workshop, we try and take messages from online. Baja Agnes is saying hello. Linda, good evening, Linda. And we have Anna Model. Anna, she's clapping. Thank you, Anna. And watching from South Lanarkshire. Yeah, that's South Lanarkshire. Good vibes. Thank you very much. And I think good everyone watching from Ekiti State, Nigeria. Yes, that's our state. Joining from YouTube. And I think good evening, people. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you very much. Please share this video so that more people can know about it, and together we can save our planet. And as I said, we're looking at the impacts of climate change, the impacts of climate change on our society, the impacts of climate change on us. And we can clearly see that climate change has its impact. You can see from this presentation that climate change, we can see there's one side of this picture that is looking, it doesn't even look like where we want to stay. And if we don't start looking after our environment, this might be our situation. We hope this doesn't happen, but we want the picture on the right side. That's what we want. I want people, if you're watching, to please also let us know what you think could be the impacts of climate change. So far, we've had facilitators on these workshops, and they've told us some things. So what do you think could be the impacts of climate change? I just want this to be as interactive as possible. So if you could please drop what you think are the impacts of climate change. Definitely, the facilitator that took us through the workshop, the previous workshop, Grace Yoha, she mentioned about something with regards the temperature, the earth temperature moving by 1 degree. And according to research, we can see that the earth temperature has gone warmer from the 19th century up to 2020. And we can see that it's 1 degree. Though it looks like 1 degree, it's not a big deal. But to be honest, 1 degree is a big deal, and the earth cannot really accommodate any warmer rise in temperature. The rate of warming over the past 40 years is more than twice. So, and according to research, year 2020 was the second warmest year on record, and these are all due to climate change. These are all due to the impacts of climate change. Climate change is making everywhere warmer. We can see there's global warming all over, and the extra heat. What the effects of this extra heat is causing is driving extreme temperature. You can see, and the snow is melting away, and this is why there's some places it's causing flooding, because some of the ice were places where there used to be ice are now melting away, and the water, excess water, is coming to other places and is causing flooding, intensifying heavy rainfall. And we know the effects of rainfall. When the rainfall is too much, it has its own negative impacts. We want the rain because of our crops, but when the rain is too much, when it just gets too much, it's not good for people, it's not good for the plants, and it's not even good for the animals as well. The global sea level, the impact of climate change is also affecting the sea level, and there are also so many inhabitants of the sea that this is affecting. And at the end of the day, it will affect we human beings as well. And, the sea level has risen about 8 to 9 inches since 1880, since the 18th century up to now, even though this measurements might look like it's not significant, but because the way the sea has been created, it has been created to the right level. Now adding about 9 inches to it, it means that excess water has to go somewhere and it's coming to us. That's why there's flooding in so many places. You see houses getting flooded, and things are just going. I think there's a comment: climate change impacts our health, environment, and economy. Yes, yes, climate change impacts all of that. I'm just trying to see if what we can take from people in the comment section. Mora says, okay, watching from Benue, it could lead to, somebody says it could lead to global warming. Yeah, it could lead to global warming. Definitely, definitely, it could lead to global warming. Thank you very much. Climate change impacts our health, environment, and economy. For example, warmer temperatures increase the frequency, intensity, duration of heat waves, which pose health risks. Yes, climate change once, and all these things is just due to our activities. Because yesterday the facilitator, Mr. Suleiman Sayang, he made us understand that some of our activities, just like leaving the power on, not being energy efficient, these are things that leads to this. And we talked about waste management as well in the past workshops. If you don't manage your waste properly, these are also some of the effects that we can see. For instance, warmer temperature increases frequency, intensity during heat waves. Yes, yes, yes. So let's move on. Somebody say I'm having poor network. Okay. Um, the rate of sea level rise is accelerating. It has more than doubled from 20th century to between 2000 and it has more than doubled between since the 20th century. And it has when we look at these pictures now, what do we think? This has nothing. Looking at this picture, you can see that waste management has a big impact, has played a big role in this kind of flooding, because this is within the houses, and obviously this might be as a result of some drainages getting blocked, because people have just decided to put waste and block the drainages. So our activities really determine, has effects on the climate, and which also gives an impact on our livelihood, on our daily activities, on whatever we do. It's coming back to affect the climate, which in turns has its own effect on us. We don't want to be having this kind of flooding, so we want everybody to try and take charge. Look at how you manage your waste. Don't just dump refuse anywhere, because it's coming to hurt us and harm our environment. Climate change has also resulted in drought. That is water shortage. Some places just go completely dry, lack of water, everything just goes disappear. What do we know that could be the effects of this kind of drought? What's the implication on us as human beings, on the livestock, and on the plants and animals? Please let me know in the comment section. Drop your comments what you think the effects of drought would be as a result of climate change as well. I just want to see if we can get some comments up here. Yeah, yeah. My comments are not displaying very well, so I'm just okay. I think I can see some new ones. Nearly all land areas are seeing more hot days and heat waves, according to United Nations 2020 was one of the hottest years on record. Yes, definitely. According to United Nations, the hottest years, I think, year 2020 was one of the hottest years. Higher temperatures increase, even though despite the lockdown. That's the funniest thing because year 2020 was when COVID took over and there was a lot of lockdowns and people did not move about. We can just imagine, assuming there was no lockdown, what could have happened? Uh, wildfire starts more easily and spread more rapidly when conditions are hotter, definitely, and that has effect on the ecosystem. It has effect on the livestock. It has effects on our farms and our plantations, which at the end of the day comes back to hurt us as human beings because once we don't have all these things to feed on, what happens to us? It results in famine in some places and shortage of food as well. Rising sea level threatens coastal communities and ecosystem. Yes, Linda, thank you for that. Um, the impact of climate change is, I think somebody says this. Okay, that's, I'm having some issues displaying some of these comments. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. So I was saying, what do you feel would be the impacts of drought on human beings? Number one, both climate change and drought will result to reduce agricultural productivity. Definitely, because once there's drought, all the plants and livestock just it affects them naturally. It has its own effect on them, and that is how it also affects us as human beings because there'll be reduced agricultural productivity. In some places, it might even be zero because if you look at this picture on the left, this is almost like zero production is going on there, and it reduces the food that comes to our shelves in the stores and supermarkets. Food production will decline during drought, 100%, no doubt. High temperatures will intensify wildfires. Yes, exactly as my brothers pointed out, that there will be increase in wildfires. Increased evaporation rates causes high temperatures. Exactly. So it's time we actually take we need to start paying attention to our activities, to what we do on a daily basis, because these are the things our actions really matters in embracing and in reducing the effects of climate change. So we need to look at our activities. We shouldn't leave it to others. We should try as much as possible to look at what we're doing and how we can change what we're doing. And it's just by doing little things, by managing your waste properly, by by being energy efficient, by trying to use more natural energy, and just paying attention to those little things. The facilitators on previous workshops has made us understand we need to pay attention to those little things because these are the effects, and we're seeing these effects so vividly among us. We're seeing this in communities. We're seeing it in environments. There's large food shortage due to reduction in agricultural production. So climate change also has health challenges for livestock because you can just imagine livestock, especially the ones that graze in open fields, they depend on the environment, they depend on the green grass, they depend on natural water. And when there's drought, that is when there's lack of water, when there's shortage of water, what happens? It affects them, and we feed on these livestock as well. So it in turns affect us. It's just there's no two way about it. It just comes back to us. So we need to be mindful of our actions. I want to try and get more comments from the comments section, but for some reason, seems we're having difficulties with our comments today. Okay, so we'll see if we can flash this up. Goslov Kennedy, thank you. She says global warming increases the risk of drought in several ways. Yes. For one, water generally evaporates more quickly at higher temperature, 100%. For that reason, hotter weather can result in drier soils. And drier soils means less productivity, less food production. It means less growth for this for food to germinate. This is a long one. Ayodele Afo Afolabi, yes, brother. We already witnessing areas in Africa. Water is becoming scarce in more regions. Yes, droughts can stir destructive sand and dust storms that can move billions of tons of sand across continents. Wow, that is something new. Like, this is very informative and impactful. Thank you. You see, so our actions, we don't even understand what our little actions are causing, because deserts are expanding, reducing land for growing food. Many people now face the threat of not having enough water on regular basis, and this gets me worried. We need to do more. Yes, we need to do more as individuals and collectively as a community. We need to do more. We just need to do more. We need to do more by paying attention to the little things, to our little, to what we do on daily basis, what you can reduce, what you can say no to it. You don't have to always take the offer. You don't have to always go for that bargain, because most of the things we acquire, they end up in trash and they end up blocking drainage system, especially if we're not managing our waste properly. Um, Badger, effects of drought on plants include wilting, scorch, and some defoliation due to loss of turgor in plant cells, irreversible shrinkage of cell membranes of plants. Definitely, once the cell membranes of plants is shrinked, then that plant most likely cannot grow very well and will not yield quality fruits or quality foodstuffs. Rising sea level threatens coastal communities and ecosystems. Yes, there are so many communities that are within the coastal region, and once the sea level rises, it just goes to them. Even some regions that are not really within the coastal areas, they still get hit as well during hurricanes and all the other effects of climate change. I'm just trying to see if we have more comments that have not brought up, that have not flashed up. Somebody saying, Angel Raphael, thank you, Angel Raphael, is saying, ranging from flooding, the fire in Australia that went on for weeks, electricity outage for weeks and even months due to too much breeze. And all of these are effects of climate change. It's really, really affecting us. And these are things we need to try and pay attention to. Okay. It also affects the human health. This is also another impact of climate change, because I think somebody mentioned, maybe I think it was Linda, she mentioned something to do with human health as well. So World Health Organization have said that climate change is critical to public health challenge. It's quite critical to the public health challenge. And the effects of climate change worsen many existing illnesses, diseases, and conditions. Yes, especially those pre-existing health conditions as well. They get worsened because you can imagine when you're not eating well or when you're not having enough proper water, these kind of things would get worse when there's drought and when we start experiencing other impacts of climate change. There's comments on coming from YouTube. Let me try and bring it up. Drought can also be thought of as an extended imbalance between precipitation and evaporation. Okay. An extended imbalance between precipitation and evaporation. Yes, because once it's evaporating, that is it. We're losing it. Thank you very much, guys. Keep the comments coming. Keep the comments coming because we want to learn from each other. We want this to be as interactive as possible so that I can take in from you as much as you're getting from me, and others can also join and see, be part of it. Iretiola Folashade says drought will not allow plants to germinate properly, which will also affect human health. And it would just mean there'll be hunger in the land, there'll be famine, and so many. The effects just keeps going on and on. It snowballs, from plants not germinating properly to human beings not eating very well to health challenges, diseases, and all these things. And this is all due to our activities, to what we do to the planet. There's another person. Mora, climate change can affect our use of electricity and it can be difficult to rear cattle. Yes, the effects just keeps going on. It's not we just have to be mindful of what we do to the environment. Talking about the environment, you can clearly see in this picture, this is also an impact of climate change. It affects the environment 100%. We've talked about, all the other things that it has affected, food production, drought, and, all these things. The environment where we are, our planet gets affected as well due to climate change. You can see the picture on the top left. There's one side that looks like it's dead, it's completely dead, and this is what it should kind of look like. It should be green, there should be things flourishing. But when the impact of climate change comes upon us, everywhere, there's drought, there's hot, extreme temperature. And these are just result of our activities. You can see the top right picture, the amount of waste we're just throwing out there. We're not sorting our waste. These are things that we need to be doing. Try and sort your waste. Try and dispose your waste effectively. Don't just dump waste in places. When you look at the bottom right picture, you will see that those are plastics that people have dumped into the ocean. And this is simple things that, I mean, into the rivers, oceans. These are simple things that we can all try to change our habits. We don't have to just throw plastics. We don't have to throw our dirt into the water. I've seen so many people so many times just throw plastics, just throw it anywhere, and this in turn ends up in our oceans, thereby affecting the animals that and plants that live there, and also causing fungi, bacteria to start growing in there. And once these bacteria and fungi grow, because what happens is the real living things that are meant to survive in these places, they would struggle to survive. But then the dangerous ones are the ones that thrive in in climate change, and they end up affecting our health. So these are things we need to try and be observant of. It also affects the infrastructure. Climate change affects infrastructure 100% because once there is once the impacts of climate change comes, once there's things like flooding, once the sea level rises, because we talked about extreme temperature, and the extreme temperature now starts melting the ice. There are places that is meant to be icy. There's meant to be icebergs there. But once the extreme temperature melts this ice, we now start seeing extreme sea level rising, and we start seeing flooding, extreme rainfall, extreme water, and that comes into our land, comes into our space. And what do we get from that? Water has to find a way to pass. Water has to find a way. It will find its way, and once it's finding its way, everything on the way it pulls along. Our bridges, our houses. You can see this bottom right picture. The house, the water is almost getting to the second level, to the first level of the house. So these are things that we can easily avoid, because I'm very sure the picture on the bottom right, this is as a result of blocked drainage. And these are things that we can easily manage, and these are things that we can easily have we could have avoided without them getting to this point. I'm trying to bring in some comments from from people watching live. Iretiola. Drought can also refer to inability of plants getting enough necessary water, which makes them look very slim, decolonize them from usual greenish color. Yes, please let me know if you have any other impacts of climate change. What other impacts of climate change do you know? Drop them in the comments. Um, I'm trying to bring in another comment here. Okay. Akinlabi Akinwale, use of chemical affecting the growth of the plants in the farm. Yes, that's another thing. That's another cause of plants not growing very well. Yeah, it affects infrastructure as well because most of our drainages are blocked. And why are the drainages blocked? It's just human activity. We are not very responsible to our environment. Many people carry the beans from their house, big bag, put it in the car, and along the way, just tip it, just throw it without care, without looking what's going to happen to it. Where is that bean going to end up? You know, I believe we're all guilty of it. We've done it at one point or the other, and it's just time for us to be mindful, to know what we're doing, and pay attention to these things and be more intentional. Okay, so yeah, let your comments keep coming, and please do share this video so that more people get to see it, because that's the main essence of it. The main essence is so that people will get educated, they will get enlightened, they will get informed about what climate change is and what they can do to reduce the effects of climate change. We believe together we can, we can save our planet. Together we can make things work for us, because this is our planet and we have nowhere else to go. We just need to embrace it. And, together we have to play our part. Together we have to look for ways to save this planet, to make sure it doesn't get any hotter, and to make sure the sea levels are not rising beyond normal. Okay, there's one new comment on Facebook. Just trying to get that. Okay. Raphael also increases in the frequency and intensity of extreme weather events such as heat waves, droughts, floods can increase loss of property. Yes, 100%. That's infrastructure, property, cars. People just lose things when there's flooding or there's wildfires, and these are results of our activities. So it's very, very important that we take control of our activities. We become more intentional every day. We know that, okay, what we're doing, what is the effect, what does it have on the planet, what negative effect is it giving the planet, and we just try as much as possible to start changing our ways to save the planet. Can increase loss of property, costly disruptions to society, and reduce the affordability of insurance. Exactly. I think it was the last workshop yesterday that we were talking about the financial impact of this climate change. It has, when you are more efficient, when you pay attention to all these things, you actually save money and you reduce wastage. So far, thank you so much for everybody that has joined. And, I just want to really thank everybody so far for being part of these workshops. And we look forward again to more of these workshops. I think a new comment has just come in. I'm trying to flash it. For some reason, the comments are not really coming in as immediately when I put them up. So bear with me. What is the difference between global warming and climate change? Climate change, global warming is when the temperature is getting warm, and the temperature is rising. And climate change covers everything that has to do with the environment, with the climate, with us losing our climate. We need to save the climate. We need to save the planet. We need to work together to save this planet. So references, these are some of the websites that I've gone through to get the research from. You can also do your research as well. You can try and visit them or look for more places to get more information. Climate change, global temperature, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, Progressive Cattle, National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences. And we want to say big thank you to the sponsors of these workshops, because they, with them, they've been able to make us be able to bring out these workshops and be able to talk about climate change, and create the awareness needed for this, for our communities, and for people to understand that the climate is changing, and it's changing not so necessarily for good, but we need to act fast. And this is the time we need to act so that we can save the planet. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for staying with us. And so far, this is what today's workshop is. It's just a recap of what we've done, what we've looked at before, and also to look at the impact of climate change. And until the next workshop, I want to say a big thank you to everybody. Big thank you to the community, National Lottery Community Fund, for making this possible. And please don't forget to share this video so that more people will see, even though they've not been part of it live, but they can be able to see the recap and be able to watch it later. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best.